Good morning and welcome to Multiply Mornings. My name's Dan and today we're talking about the stories that are perplexing the internet today. Our first story of the day is about Amazon. Now, Amazon, if you don't know, is this massive conglomerate. They obviously started out with bookstore online and grown to sell about everything possible. They've also grown now into cloud storage, to music, to video, to so many things that they're growing and growing and growing and doing more. And now the next big evolution they're looking to do is their own shipping service. And you heard me right. Amazon's basically trying to create its own shipping network. I know that they just recently leased some Boeing 747s. A lot of what they do with their Prime, it definitely seems like it makes sense. If you don't, Prime's a really great. We're a member of it. You pay, I think we don't use students, it was a little less. You pay a rate per year of like $100, but you get music, cloud storage, video, which is basically like their Netflix. So you basically get Spotify, Pandora, whatever music service you listen to, cloud sharing, video, plus free unlimited 2-day shipping on any item that's with Prime, which like you can almost always find something that's Prime. So pretty cool, pretty amazing that they've done this. I can see why, in the sense of why they would want to cut the middleman out in this, put a little bit more, because now basically what it's doing is that they're getting it to their fulfillment center, then they drive it over to wherever their nearest shipping center is, and then from there it gets dispersed to UPS and USPS and everybody, and they all ship it. This way Amazon's just cutting out the middleman and saving a little bit of extra money for themselves. Now it's a really big, lofty thing. DSL was a big startup a few years ago that failed, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how they really pull this off, if they can. But if anybody can do it, it's probably Amazon. But it'll be really cool to see what happens there. And moving on to our next story, the first child with 3 DNA recipients, or givers I should say, or whatever you want to say, has been birthed. Now this is a first in science. Why is this a big deal? Well, it's kind of a little bit odd. Now as far as a Christian stance, I don't know how I stand on it, because I think it's something that's a little bit dangerous, something that's really getting out of the realm where we should be doing things we should be meddling with. But when this situation they did, it makes a little bit of sense. So what they did was, it was a mother who'd been trying to have children for years, and she had a specific genetic defect that didn't affect her, but she had lost 2 children to it. Basically it attacked the nervous system. And so what they were able to do was go in and somehow remove that section of the DNA and then put in this other one. So basically it has 3 DNA givers that made this baby. So it's kind of an interesting idea. It was done by a US team in Mexico, and I believe they were doing it for another country on top of that. So there's a whole bunch of layers to what's going on as far as the scientists involved. But basically what it is the possibility to possibly kind of root out some diseases and disorders before a child's even born. It's definitely something that you're getting past the level of trusting the Lord, I suppose. What's your thoughts on it? Where do you stand with this? Because I think it's something that's kind of a gray area for Christians that we really are going to have to start taking probably more and more of a stance on in the coming years. But kind of interesting, kind of a cool thing to think about too. And on to our biggest story that I hate to talk about these things, especially when it involves children. But yesterday there was a shooting in South Carolina. A teen walked into a school, shot 2 students and a teacher. There was an elementary school on top of that. It's so sad to see young people being hurt and subject to this form of just cruelty. They don't know the child's motives. They did say they found his father dead at a house a few blocks or a mile or so away from the actual school itself. They're still trying to figure out how he got into the school, because there's those safety precautions, all those things that are supposed to be in play. Somehow he slipped past it, so they're doing a lot of research. It's kind of an early on. Don't know a lot as to what happened. Thankfully, only 2 people were shot. It looks like no one, or 3 people, 2 students, one teacher. Looks like no one was killed, thankfully. But it's just so sad to see this depravity, this thing that's happening in our world today as people are hurt and shot. And I think there's a couple different things that people want to go to. They want to blame all these different sections. They want to blame society, and they want to blame gun rights, and they want to do all this stuff. But guys, it comes down to it. Where we need to look at is ourselves. Each and every one of us. This is a status of where we're at in our world. Sin is what causes. You may disagree with me, and that's fine, but it's truth. It really is. Because sin leads to other sins. It's the allowance of us stuff to creep into our lives, into our world, that's allowed this to become a reality time and time again. And I think we can all say to ourselves, oh, I want to look to that politician, or I want to look at this organization, say, you need to do this differently, you need to do this. We need to start with ourselves. You may say, Daniel, I'm not going to go up and shoot up a bar, I'm not going to go shoot up a school, I'm not going to go shoot up anything. But the reality is, even though you're not doing that, we're still perpetuating an idea in the world that's going here. If people begin to say, I'm not going to stand for this anymore, things will change. One person is weak. It's like the sticks. If you were to take one stick, you could snap it right in half. But if you take a 5 or 6 or 7 sticks and put them next to each other, a lot more of a feat to break it. As people, we need to stand together and say, I want to stand for what's morally right, to be loud and not afraid to do it, not going to apologize because you offend someone. And the fact of the matter is, it's kind of morphing into our focus too, but I've been reading in Nehemiah now. Nehemiah is this guy who goes in and he begins to build the wall, and it offends a lot of people. In the same sense, he does it because he knows it's right, and he stands firm and correct. So Nehemiah did this. He stood firm because he knew it was right. He knew it needed to be done in order to do it. And thankful he was. And I tell you, this moment now, we need to pray, first off, for all the children and the families of those children and everybody involved in this, because it's horrible. We need to pray for the young man who was involved in the shooting, because something has gone wrong in him personally, that we need to pray that God can hopefully help him through that. So definitely pray for the person involved. We need to pray for the leadership, for everybody around us, and for our country as we heal and look at what's to go next from this. Definitely be in prayer. Let me know in the comments down below, guys, what you think about this, where you at with everything. I'd love to hear about it. It's definitely a horrible thing. But moving on to a little bit of a brighter note, on to our video of the day. Now, if you are a Tom Hanks fan, I'm a Tom Hanks fan. He's obviously in Big and so many other great movies. Toy Story, Forrest Gump, Castaway. I'm drawing a blank on all of them. But he's been in obviously so many prolific films. He's one of the greatest actors I really feel like right now. And there's this video of him walking up on a married couple, couple at their wedding day. And he walks in and goes, "Hey, I'm Tom Hanks," and starts taking pictures with them. Too funny, too cool. It's actually pretty good quality too, everything. So it's a really, really great video. Definitely give you a smile on your face day. Shows he's just really, I think he's really a cool guy probably in real life. Love to hang out with him sometime. So check that video out if you want to see our video of the day. Everything is in the description down below. Now I'm getting some people are saying they don't understand where the description is. If you're on mobile or on web, there's a little click. If you go down to where it says my name, it says the name of the video and everything. Click on that. It'll drop down the menu so you can see everything. And that's where you'll find the links to the stories and everything I talk about. Okay, in the video of the day, everything will be down below right there. All right, and as we wrap up, we finish this out, guys, quickly here and everything, because I know it's going to be a busy day, a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to just take a second and focus. As I said, we're talking about Nehemiah, and Nehemiah is this really awesome man of God, because Nehemiah is in a place of peace and serenity, or whatever, of joy, or a esteemed position, I should say, with the king, and he leaves to go rebuild the wall because he feels like that's what God has called him to do. Now, why is this important? Because Nehemiah walks up in adversity. There's a lot of stuff going on at this point in Israel. A lot of people don't want to see this happen. Nehemiah goes there and he unites people, pulls them together, and kind of him and Ezra cohesively, they kind of pull Israel back together to where they need to be. He begins to put them back together the way they're supposed to be. And I think this wall means so much more in our lives than we think about. Because it's not just Nehemiah building a wall, it's him putting Israel the way it should be. Right now, the church's walls are kind of decimated. They're all over the place. We've allowed the world to creep in, and people don't want to see that wall rebuilt. A firmness of the scriptures important, that inherency of God, the inherency of his word, that it is truth. People don't want to see those walls put up in us. So there's people fighting us, saying that we're doing wrong, and we're bigots, and we're all these things. That's not true. Israel was a welcoming country. God is a welcoming God, but he doesn't stand for what's wrong. People didn't want that to be the case again. Today, we're in the same situation. People are trying to keep the church down. They're trying to say that we're all these different things. They don't realize who we are. But you see, as Christians, we got to be like Nehemiah. Stand firm, stand resolute, and build that wall. Even when people stand there and they try to, and Nehemiah, they were sitting there, they were trying to send the king things, saying he was trying to start a revolt. They were trying to scare him into thinking they were going to kill him. I mean, all these things, trick him into coming so they could kill him or capture him. There was just so much adversity this man faced. But he realized what he needed to do. And as Christians, I know this right here, as this grows, I mean, people are going to get angry. Multiply Media grows, people are going to get angry. People aren't going to like the things I say. That's okay. I'm not saying it to make people happy. I'm saying it because it's right. Whether it's popular, unpopular, or not, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to do what God has called me to do, which is just speak his word. So let me know in the comments down below, guys. Do you think the church's walls are down now? Are you ready to be a part of the rebuild of what needs to take place? That God is doing something great and he wants to do something great in our lives? And the point is that we as the Christians are the people to rebuild it. That wall, as they rebuilt it, Nehemiah, he had every man working pretty much round the clock, whether they were building or defending. Everywhere they went, they had their blade on their side, ready to strike. They were men who understood the importance of this wall and the importance that needed to be built no matter what. Christians need to be on point, ready to go, on fire for Christ, ready to start this change. Greg Stier is one of my favorite people as far as when he writes stuff, different things. He has this mind of the gospel that makes it so simple and reachable. And I think he wrote this book years ago called Outbreak. An outbreak was about the outbreak of how a viral Christian movement goes. Now, this was before virality really hit its mark to where now we see videos go viral in moments, but use a virus going out and the way it spreads when it goes airborne and it spreads across so quickly. The thing is, guys, just like that, a video goes viral and one person shares to another, and then before you know it has millions of views. It's like the Chewbacca lady a couple of months ago. Before like one night she got like 110 million views or something. But it was the virality of it, guys. God needs to beat up because we don't need to stop talking about it over and over and over again. I've talked too much in our co-focus here. Let me know in the comments down below where you're at, guys. Check out the links for everything, just the video of the day, everything. Check all those out in the description down below. Make sure you check out our new logos. We've updated a little bit more of a flat logo. I think it looks nice. Go to our Facebook page, Twitter, everything. It should be all updated pretty much everywhere around, guys. Multiply Media Multiply_media on Snapchat. Check us out there, guys. God bless. We'll see you next time.